Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con Podcast, Season 2, Episode 19. We are recording this on May the 12th, 2022. We have a ton of stuff to talk about tonight. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Justin, a.k.a. Nemesis Prime. And normally, you know, Zach Milton Manimal is here with me, but he's not this week, which is pretty an ongoing theme where he's here for a week, not here for a week, maybe 2 weeks. But so we were supposed to have a special guest with us to talk about some stuff. You've heard her previously here on the podcast, and not only is she my special guest, but guess what? She gets to be my co-host for the evening. You know her from Instagram, the queen of Wednesday new releases. What page is it? Sade Paige. How are you today, miss?
I am so excited to be back, and I get to be your co-host. I feel like this is some VIP special treatment.
It is. It is formal interview time because I will be, depending on how this goes, Zach may be gone for next week, and you may be running the show with me every week.
I might replace him. No, just kidding.
But believe me, I again, we talked on, for people that are either new to listening to the podcast or have been continuously listening to the podcast. Sade was back here during the month of April when we had all the females on here talking about comic book community. And, after the show, we kind of talked about Moon Knight, how it was just starting up. And, she wanted to come back on here to talk about the review. So I asked Sade to be in here. So we're definitely going to be doing our full season review of Moon Knight on Disney Plus. But we have a ton of different articles to talk about, some interesting things. So let's kick it off, Sade. So let's kick it off with some comic book news. Sade, you have our first article of the night.
Yes, so Marvel's bringing out their first transgendered superhero, which I'm very excited about. Her name is Escapade, and her powers are very interesting. She can basically switch places with another person from where they are standing, but it turns out she needs to be about 7 feet away from them. Otherwise, it doesn't go well. And at first, I thought it was like that movie Jumper where you could like switch around. I was like, oh, different continent and stuff like that. But no, 7 feet seems very limiting. But then it also only lasts a few hours. So I wonder like how much of like hiccup situation she's gonna be in if like it only lasts like 2 hours to switch places with people that she's fighting. I don't know.
Yeah, so obviously this is going to be coming over from bleedingcool.com. Obviously last year they did the Marvel Voices Pride #1. This is coming out this year as well in June, so we have a new character. And this is something that we always talk about here on the podcast. When they bring out new characters, you usually typically get characters who are very similar to existing characters, but now we're having this cool character who again is a transgender, and her powers are really awesome as well. So I think this is a great way to be introducing new characters into the Marvel universe, especially being a mutant. So it's not someone who's just a normal person and has abilities. It's a mutant, and especially with the mutants we've seen, Iceman, he's kind of came out as being gay, and other characters who have kind of changed their genders. So with this upcoming issue, and also she has a pretty cool best friend, a tech savvy best friend known as Morgan Red, along with a tool tier from the Marvel universe as professional thieves stealing from criminal and corrupt organizations until she meets up with Emma Frost and Destiny, changing the course of Escapade's life forever. So interesting first appearance. I definitely like it. If you check out our thumbnail, you'll see what she looks like. Interesting stuff going on with this character coming out for Marvel Voices Pride #1. So be on the lookout. Of course, everything in Marvel, once it hits first appearances, it's a hot book, right?
Definitely got to keep that in your collection.
Oh, yeah. So let's kind of move on to some TV and movie news. Not too much going on in the world of comic books, but there's some shakeups, and we talked about this last week. If you listened to last week's episode, Zach and I talked about the falling of many DC CW shows. And today, this would literally just dropped a few hours before we went live. This is coming over from movieweb.com. Naomi canceled at the CW after 1 season, so they will not be moving forward with season 2. Per deadline, the network has pulled the plug on DC series. Reason being, the substantial ratings have dropped by 40% since its January release. So if you saw the finale, which was like a 2-hour finale this past week, I talked about it mid-season, kind of did my review on it. But I guess, we're not getting it after Batwoman got canceled, Legends of Tomorrow, as well as some other CW shows.
Even Charmed got canceled.
Yeah, Charmed got canceled. Dynasty, 4,400 Into the Dark, Roswell, and New Mexico. All these shows are all gone off the CW. So the big shakeup with the CW stuff, it's crazy. Obviously all that's left is Flash and Superman and Lois. So, Sade, are you watching any of these shows that are on the CW? And what do you think
So
about this one?
I used to watch Flash and Superman and Lois. I'm behind on both. But like, it's so weird. I feel like, how do I feel about this? It just seems strange, like how often these shows keep canceling. But then I'm also hearing too, like even like say for example with like Roswell being canceled. I know that I think they either their directors got changed around or they didn't agree on, so like one left. So I think that's probably why that one got canceled. There could be more to that I don't know. But it just seems like they also are they getting sold or is there something moving around with the company?
Well, there's the whole big shakeup between the Disney, not Disney, I'm sorry, the Warner Brothers and the whole media that got shaken up earlier this year with
Yeah.
the T-Mobile, all that
Mhm.
shakeup basically. So like everything's going to be changing over. Like the whole Warner Brothers media is just completely being changed. A lot of the movies, some people are backing out, and that's obviously a segue into our next article. But we're going to kind of stick on this for a little bit. But it's crazy, like Naomi's a newer character, and for people that
Mhm.
know me, I've been 100% into Naomi since her comic book appearance a few years ago. Brian Michael Bendis created her. Thought she was a really awesome character. She had 6 issues, and then more recently, she's been in the Justice League for quite a while. Obviously, because Brian Michael Bendis has been writing, so obviously you bring your baby up into the Justice League. So it's the quickest. I would say it's definitely the quickest character to go from comic book to film or TV without a doubt, right? I don't think there's someone who's, especially whether it's Marvel or DC, that we've seen fly off the pages and onto the big screen like we have for Naomi. And it had its flubs and flaws. Are you caught up on Naomi or no?
I have not watched Naomi. Honestly,
Okay.
I don't watch like I don't have cable. I just stream everything. That's how I watch stuff. So I'm wondering too if like maybe that's where a lot of their customers are. It's not really watching cable, it's more streaming services. So I don't know
Mhm.
if maybe that's an issue for CW. Like I watch my CW shows on Netflix like when it's already up there. That's how
Mhm.
I catch up on it. Or I'll go to their website randomly or the apps and like see the latest episode playing, but not like religiously doing it. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering if those are the reasons why CW shows cancel a lot, or maybe drop some shows. But who knows?
Yeah, it's tough because uh Stargirl, which originally was the first season, was on the CW app or CW Universe app, which then obviously got smashed together into become HBO Max.
Hmm.
And then season 2 of Stargirl came out on CW. Now they are still talking about a season 3 of Stargirl. Will we see that? They haven't said anything that it's being taken out or hasn't been canceled yet. Still on the chopping block with the rest of the stuff. But I still want to see Stargirl season 3. I like the first 2 seasons. Naomi, again with the last episode this past week, I liked it. Unfortunately, I think the big problem with the CW show is, she's from another Earth or another world completely, and she's from like an alien world, so all the characters really look like aliens. In this CW show, all the aliens who are in this show that are from her world that are on our Earth are all just normal human looking. So
Hmm.
I think that kind of takes away from the comics to film because you're used to seeing like characters that are completely different looking and then they're just like, like you and me. Like it's just normal people, which and but they have their names of the characters uh from the comic book.
Yeah.
So and then of course the CW flaw is always they have to have a team of people. So Naomi's in high school, so she's got to have all these high school friends around her to build her steam and to be like, oh well, let's go do this, Naomi, or don't do that, Naomi. And that's the same thing I feel like that's always been an issue with between like Arrow and there's Team Arrow, Team Flash. Superman and Lois doesn't have that issue because they have their kids, which is
Yeah.
a great show.
But their kids are going through high school and like finding friends and whether or not they tell their friends the secrets and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's like a more spread out of getting that storyline where you're not focusing on just one character, building that friendship and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, we definitely want to see more. I don't even know what's the next show that's really coming out for for CW. Obviously they're cutting all these shows. That means they need to replace them with something, because if they don't replace them with other shows, regardless if it's the DC stuff or all these other shows that are being canceled, what are you gonna do? Just reruns? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll watch whatever is on, like repeat, like Friends or The Office if they want to throw it on CW constantly. But yeah, you figure that's at least, according to this, we had, the 3 CW shows are gone, and then there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more shows. So that's 10 shows that are going to are off the air now,
That's
and
very sad.
that's a full
What's
week of
left?
shows.
Oh,
Week of shows. So, getting on to more DC again, there's some interesting information, and this I always take with a grain of salt. I'm not a big fan of this website, but I will quote it out there. So giantfreakingrobot.com. I'm not a big fan of their website, but some people sent me this information, and it's actually real quick regarding Naomi. When the news dropped at Naomi, I had 3 people DM me on Instagram immediately. So they know, because I'm like a huge Naomi fan. And they were like, and I was like, yeah, man, I just read it too. Like, so getting on to our next bit of news coming over from Giant Freaking Robot, exclusive saying that the Zatanna movie is in danger of being canceled. Now, if anyone knows me as well, I'm a huge Zatanna fan. Now I have to bring this up. So this was announced at the Warner Brothers DC Comics Day back in March 2021. It was being developed as a live action movie. There was some rumors of some casting. Possibly Emilia Clarke was going to be playing it as a contender, but with her being cast in the Secret Invasion film, I kind of think that kind of fell on its own hat. But they're talking about the reason why they didn't want to they may not be moving forward with this is because that Zatanna is a kind of a classic mid-tier comic book character without a lot of penetration into the pop culture as a whole. Now, Sade, remember when Harley is Harley, and then all of a sudden, like, Suicide Squad came out, and then everybody was Harley Quinn, that version of Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn became like the biggest thing, right? So now, why can't that happen for Zatanna? Like, you and I, we go to conventions. I'm sure you've seen Zatanna cosplay, right?
Honestly, I've only seen that cosplay where a friend of mine posted her photo. Gotham Geek Girl. She did a cosplay of her, and it looks phenomenal. And otherwise, I don't think I've seen any at cons, to be honest. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know her story background a lot, but like I love her vibe either way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why some of these like why they won't take some of these not so known characters and make them become known.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, like there's only so many ways you can give a story for the same character for decades. Like, give us something new, new in a sense of to watch, I guess. Like, I don't know why they want to cancel it, or maybe there's just some creative differences on the directions of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like DC's trying, and they're doing good things. Like, I've seen, obviously, I don't know if you watched the Swamp Thing show that was on CW Universe. Obviously, with Titans, they have the DC Titans that's out there. But they're trying to do different things. With the most recent Marvel stuff with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they went into this whole horror. Did you see the movie? Yeah, you saw the movie.
Yes,
I know you saw
I
the
got
movie.
to
Okay.
see that early.
Okay.
Ooh, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll actually, yeah, we'll go into that before. I want to know your review, because if anybody's obviously listening, we dropped our review, so I want to hear Sade because she got to see it early. But Doctor Strange, they went into like a horror aspect. So Swamp Thing was into that mythical realm. They kind of went in. That's a horror type of show. With Zatanna, that's what they haven't done. They haven't gone to the magic side of the DC universe. We get the same constant things. You get the Trinity, and then you'll get like a spin-off thing. So we've seen the Suicide Squad, 2 different versions, between James Gunn, David Ayer's version. It was good. They're both, they both have their thing. There's teams, but now, like, where is the magic? From Keanu Reeves' Constantine, right? We had that a while ago, but let's get back into this where, now comic books and comic book movies are a big part. And like you said, like, bring these mid-tier characters up, because I guarantee that if this movie was to be made, there is going to be a lot more females out there, especially younger females, that want to be interested into this character because she's not Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. For sure. I don't know. I wonder. I would love to still see this character come to life, and I know a lot of people did fan arts based off of that announcement too, or even like fan art casting. So I hope they do find a way to bring her and her magic to life.
Mhm. Yeah, she's such a great character. She's been around for, God, it's almost got to be a little over 40 years, I think, is where she was. You know, she first appeared in Hawkman. Her father was Zatanna, who was way back in the Golden Age. And, you know, she's been a part of the Justice League in the 70s and 80s. She's been on the Justice League Dark Team, which was really awesome to see in like the mid when they did the new 52 era. So she's a character who's always been around, and I just don't know why. Like she's not, you know, prominent in the world of whether she's ripe for a TV show or the movie. You know, with Legends of Tomorrow a couple seasons ago, and Zach and I talked about this when Legends of Tomorrow went and did this magic season and they brought in Constantine. I was like, oh my god! I'm like, we're finally going to see maybe like Zatanna or Deadman or something else from like the demon world of, you know, magic users in the DC universe. But we didn't. It stuck to Constantine. That's fine. DC, they announced the movie. I was up in arms. I was so happy. Like my first appearance went up in crazy values. Like I was so excited for this series, and now it's like now it's in trouble of being canceled. We don't really have too much announced as far as DC past. You know, we have Flash, we have Black Adam, we have Aquaman, and Blue Beetle. And I think that's really it. That's on the docket. Oh, and the Batgirl movie. So, you know, it is what it is right now. But let's kind of turn gears. You know, we did our podcast. If you have not listened to our bonus content, if you have seen the movie Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, go check out that review. We dropped it as bonus content this past week. But Sade, you got to see it early.
I
So you
did.
dressed up. You know, did a little America Chavez, correct?
No, I did Doctor Strange.
That was Doctor Strange. Was
Yeah,
it
her
red
universe
and?
did a Doctor Strange collection. So I got to have the dress for
Oh,
that, and I got to wear it to the event, and I was super excited. But Gotham Geek Girl Nadia, she did her own DIY of America Chavez.
okay. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that picture because I thought it was like because it was the red and blue. I figured like it was America
No, because she
Chavez
has a
of.
denim jacket with
I
the
know, but I figured you were wearing a dress, so I figured it was something, you know, more formal. I don't know.
no Doctor Strange.
So let's jump into it because you're not, you know, you're not all over there on different podcasts and YouTube channels. What did you think about the movie?
I was obsessed. I think this might be my personal favorite Marvel movie ever because it gave you is basically like if Marvel and horror movies had a baby, this was this movie. Because it gave you like the creepy, the jump scares, the like also like the Scarlet Witch's powers. Like if you even go back to like some of the previous movies, you just like knew her powers were definitely like way held back compared to this. Because I can't say anything. Can I even spoil anything? I feel like
Oh
I have to
yeah, but by
I feel
this
like I have to
point,
wait
or
for the movie.
everybody, here it is. You by this
Yeah.
point, it's coming out a week after. If you have not seen the movie, please skip over maybe the next couple of seconds or next couple of minutes. Sade is going to give you spoilers, but you listen to our podcast, the bonus, you're going to listen to it. So that was your 10 seconds to skip ahead to our
Yeah,
next
20
article.
seconds or
Go
more.
ahead, Sade. Spoil away.
The fact that she wiped out the Illuminati in less than 5 minutes, and all they did was like, "You're a little witch. You're a little witch. She's just possessing a body. Who really cares?" And she's like, "Oh, okay, no, let me snap you instead." I cannot. The way that she just, and Peggy, poor Peggy, did her so dirty, so bad. Oh my god, I can't get over it. Like that whole scene itself, I think my jaw was literally to the floor of what is happening, and the Scarlet Witch is way more powerful than like I think we could even understand. And the way
Mhm.
they made this be portrayed is just insanity in like a pure art form. So like I'm totally Team Wanda. I know I know she cray cray, but I'm so obsessed with her because she's such a badass. But I mean, I get her motives. Do I support? You know what? I'm still Team Wanda. It's fine. But it's
Okay.
just wild. And then even how the character development went with this whole movie was beautifully well done. I'm just a chef's kiss for me on this movie. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Are you a fan of Sam Raimi's like horror stuff? Like, have you seen like Drag Me to Hell and the
I
like a
know that's
Red
a lot of
series.
references, but I haven't really watched it. I'm really a baby at horror movies. I'm literally like
Okay.
my hands are over my face and peeking through like a finger here and there, but like
Oh, so
yeah,
you're like Wanda when you see her reflection, like you could see her eye like in the water, and
yeah,
it's real creepy.
that was bugging. And then even like when she did the whole like the hands everywhere and like even like yeah, it was just all the demon stuff. And then the jumping and like the snapping of the neck. I was just like, what is this movie?
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
said it was definitely teetered the line of the PG-13 like rated R, but you
it
know,
showed blood though, so I was impressed.
yeah, it was definitely wicked. It was definitely jump scares. There's so much. I really don't want to. I don't want to spend harp too much on it because I
No.
want everyone to go check out our bonus content for our review of that.
Not
But
just mine.
yeah, not just yours. But so now, do you think with how great Wanda did, do you think we're going to see a lot of cosplaying for Scarlet Witch going forward?
100%. I see it all over TikTok, or like even prior to this movie coming out, and definitely more now. And like everyone's getting a 3D printer, and so I'm just I want one too. Like I like Smart's making stuff, but yeah, I definitely think that Scarlet Witch will be a big cosplay this year for cons. I feel like, especially at New York Comic Con, I definitely see that happening. And then I also think that later on we'll discuss, but I think Moon Knight's also going to be a big cosplay too. That's
Yeah, he's someone who I really and I've been going to conventions for 10 years plus. Obviously, cosplay is more probably the past like 6 or 7 years. I've noticed and take note, and people have gone really overboard with whatever it is. But yeah, Moon Knight's not a character that I see too much. But
I didn't even really know of that character until the show, and then I kind of like dived in to figure out who he was, and I'm like, I am hooked to this
do you
man.
like that? That's why I feel like you've probably seen a lot of Zatanna, but you just don't know because she literally looks like just a waitress with a top hat. So like
Hmm.
the way she looks, you're like, yeah, I just walked by someone. I don't know. They were just dressed up in,
Or I could have
whatever.
mistaken it for some anime character for all I know. I
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. But yeah, I cannot wait to see it again. I definitely I was supposed to go see it this week with my brother who hadn't seen it yet, but
Hmm.
unfortunately our schedules didn't meet up. So probably sometime next week. And unfortunately, I did show him the one scene with the Illuminati and like who was the
No,
Illuminati. Yeah, we couldn't wait. Like I said, like, you don't want to do it, and he's like, no, don't tell me. And then
that's so mean.
we were over my parents for Mother's Day, and I go, can I at least show you the Illuminati? And he goes,
No,
okay. And we
you're a
went through the
horrible
whole
brother.
thing. And when he saw John Krasinski, he goes, no way, no way. Like, because him and I are huge Office fans. So
Hmm.
to see Jim like as Reed Richards was absolutely amazing. But obviously that was just that part. He didn't see anything else of what happens
Oh, I thought you showed him
after that.
everybody. I was gonna be like, that's just no.
Oh no, just that. Like
Okay, well, still.
yeah, nothing like the fight after that or anything like that. Not like
Okay,
that part,
all
but
right.
yeah, just that. So before we get into our review, and that was Sade's review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So now hopefully everyone's back that has seen the movie or hasn't seen the movie if you forgot about it. Before we get into our Moon Knight review, we do want to drop one more article. And of course, if there was only one podcast on Spotify to beat Joe Rogan, it would be the Comic Con podcast. No, I wish it was, but this one is a Batman one. So this is coming over from variety.com. This kind of one I feel like slipped under the radar. It came over on May the 6th. Batman Unburied hits #1 on Spotify charts worldwide, beating the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, this one is produced by DC. It's a superhero series. It's going to be 10 episodes. Currently, at the time when they dropped this article, there was only 2 episodes out. Right now,
Not
there's
sure.
4 episodes. Uh, I asked Sade, I said, hey, check it out. Even if you get through the first episode. And right before we went live, she's like, I binged all 4 episodes. And I said,
Well, they're short. They're
awesome.
like half-hour episodes, so it's not like
Yeah.
an hour. I thought it was gonna be hour. Okay, keep going, and then I'll
No.
go more.
So, of course, Joe Rogan's experience is a constant #1 on Spotify charts, but this is it's simply amazing. It's Batman Unburied. For me, I say it's a crime noir, kind of a dark psychosis of Bruce Wayne's psyche. So, before I don't want to spoil it too much. So, Sade and I are going to try to tiptoe around certain things that happen. but there's a lot of great people in it. David Goyer is the director on this. You have some great voice actor and actresses. You have Winston Duke. He plays Bruce Wayne / Batman. Winston Duke, you all know from the Black Panther movies. He played Manape. You have Hassan Minhaj, who plays the Riddler. He's a comedian. He's obviously had some Netflix specials, and he's been on, I believe, The Daily Show. Sam Witwer,
For it.
who is my favorite. He plays the Harvester. He plays this villain in this podcast. He obviously voiced Darth Maul. He was Star Killer in Star Wars and a couple other TV and movie things. And then you have Gina Rodriguez, who plays Barbara Gordon, and she's from CW show something Virgin. I can't remember. Jane the Virgin. There you go. So, Sade, I know you have tons of questions. What did you think about Batman Unburied?
Okay, well, first, I love when you told me this. I was like, oh, great. Like, it's a show talking about Batman. Great, here I go. It's like, I'm probably going to hate it, whatever. Listen to it, and I realized it's basically, I was trying to tell my boyfriend about this. I was like, yeah, it's amazing. It's basically like a podcast, but like an audiobook, and it's like the movies. It's if you're watching a movie, but like your eyes are closed. And he was like, that doesn't sound fun. I'm like, no, it's amazing. But yes, I was a little lost because, I mean, I feel like it's still building the story a bit. Because I feel like, so I don't think we could really technically spoil it because it's still, you said 10 episodes. And it's not like the Marvel series where it's 6. So I feel like we're still building and some stuff's going on. But I'm confused with like the first episode and then like number 4. Like what happened? Like, please explain. Explain to me your understanding of his parents. Because am I understanding that they're alive when he's an adult?
Yes. So David Goyer said that he had the ability to kind of do what he wanted, but now you've obviously, and this really isn't a spoiler because it's in the first episode. So Bruce Wayne, he's kind of a high school, college, I would say college, if not a little bit older. He's a pathologist. He works in a morgue. His parents are alive, and he's dealing with seeing dead bodies because of this villain called the Harvester. And yes, it's weird that his parents are alive, but I think, and people that have read Batman for quite a long time, I think this is all in his mind. I think this is someone is creating this world for him, like whether it's Mad Hatter, Scarecrow, even Hugo Strange, because there are flickers in that first and second episode where you hear like Batman, you hear like the bats, you hear the gunshots, and
it does sound like there's something happening where like there's like a glitch in the Matrix in a sense. Yeah. So like sometimes I had to like rewind up, like what did I just hear? Like my visuals of this and the sound effects are not matching up, so I definitely missed something. But yeah, and then I loved how he's like how he works in a morgue, right? He works in a morgue,
Yep.
And he's dealing with the bodies, and he's trying to figure out. I'm a big true crime person. Like I relax listening to murder podcasts. I know it's scary. My boyfriend's a little worried to sleep next to me, but that's literally how I will like take a bath, have a glass of wine, put on true crime, ready to go. And he talks about how the victim, of the harvester, of like what they went through, like even like based off of like her wounds or something, trying to get into the mindset of why do you not have defensive wounds? Why do you have certain things? Why were you acting like this? Like it's just that where it gets like a true crime essence of it really like made me go, ho ho ho, where are we going with this? I'm ready for this.
Yeah, it was interesting because I saw this article over the weekend, and I was just like, oh wow, I was like, Batman podcast toppled Joe Rogan. And then like my buddy's like, hey, you should really check out this podcast. And I go, okay. So the day he told me about it was Tuesday, and I guess they're dropping episodes every Tuesday. So when he told me there was only 2 episodes out when he told me, but then they uploaded the other 4. So I was driving home from work and I immediately put on that first one, and I was just like, yeah, like you said, like I could close my eyes and visualize this world, because Batman's a type of world where you can easily visualize. Because the characters, the world. If you've seen obviously just the most recent Batman movie, it kind of feels like that. So yes, this whole thing where he talks about, and again, not really too much spoilers, when he talks about the Harvester's victims, which is very interesting. And then it kind of takes a turn in episode 2. And then we get to episode 3 and 4, and I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. But episode 3 and 4 dives into Barbara Gordon and, like I said earlier, the Riddler, which is just awesome. Like just her, and Riddler's back and forth and their dialogue, and it's even funny because sometimes when he's doing the riddles to her, I've actually gotten like 2 of them right. Like when I was like, oh my god, I know this. Like,
oh my god,
I was like, I know this riddle, and it's just like so odd. But yeah, their interactions, their conversations are very well done. I think again, the voice actors and actresses, they kill it.
It gives me definitely like the new Batman vibes, but it also feels like it could be like a side story to the same world of that same Batman series. Let's say like it could be like after the Riddler got arrested and like whatnot of the latest Batman, and then they brought him out for this type of thing. It sounds like it could almost be that world in a sense, not literally, but you know, it kind of gave me that vibe a little bit.
Yeah. So I know I look at the analytics. Zach looks at the analytics here on the podcast, and we know the majority of our listeners they listen to it on iTunes. But if you have a chance, check it out on Spotify. Batman Unburied. It's an absolute masterpiece, especially because it's done directly through DC Comics. And Marvel's done this in the past too. Marvel's done this with they did this with Old Man Logan. They've also done this with a few other series as well, ones that I haven't checked out. But you know, this kind of is the next world because you know they have books come out, people listen to it on Audible. Sometimes like I'll buy the Star Wars High Republic books. Not only will I have the books to read, sometimes I want to transition to Audible because I like listening to it because it kind of puts you in that world. They do the sound effects, and that's what's awesome about listening to this is because, like I said earlier, if you're Batman, Gotham, all this world, so just being able to close your eyes and not look at a comic, because when you're reading a comic, you could kind of already look and see like what's the next thing that's kind of happening. But with this, you really don't know what's the next thing that's going to happen. And Sade and I both know after listening to the first 4 episodes, we have no idea where this is going. There's some great things that are happening in the story, and we have 6 episodes left. So where
re-listen to it because I'm still confused as to how I got from episode 1 to episode 4. I'm like, what? Yeah. I was also working while listening to it, which probably wasn't the greatest idea, but I feel like if like you're cleaning or where you don't have to focus on a task, this is the podcast for it because you actually kind of need to pay attention to it. So yeah, that would be my little tip and trick.
Yeah. So if you're traveling home from work, going to work, or like Sade just said, like just doing nothing where you don't have to focus your eyes on something else, I would say too heavily.
Not reading.
Yeah. This is
email.
a perfect way if you have Spotify. So let's get moving into our last topic of the evening before we get over to what are we currently reading. So again, Sade was brought here as a special guest / now my co-host for the evening.
Yay.
Talk about Moon Knight. Now, if the people that are out there that listen to Zach and I's, first 3 episodes, we always do is a preview. We do our mid-season, and then we do our final review. So even though Zach couldn't be here with us today, I said, Zach, why don't you do what we always tell people to do is to send us voicemails.
I'm so excited.
Zach, I have not listened to this. All I did was upload it. So Zach gave us a quick 3.5-minute review of the final couple episodes of Moon Knight and his final thing. So let's kind of listen to that, and then we'll Sade and I will play off of that. I'll play off of Zach, and then I really want to hear what Sade has to say. So let's get into to what Zach says about his Moon Knight review.
Hey everyone, Manimal here. Going to give you my quick and dirty Moon Knight review based on all 6 episodes. I know I'm not here this week on the Comic-Con podcast, but going to go ahead and give you my thoughts real fast. So like we kind of sit on the halfway point, some of the things I loved about Moon Knight was the dialogue I thought was great. Obviously, Oscar Isaac's acting was phenomenal throughout. I think my biggest complaints were the pacing of the show in terms of 6 episodes, where there was just way too much of the Stephen Grant and Mark Spector back and forth and just not getting to the point quick enough. But it also was not enough Moon Knight in action to really justify, honestly, the title of Moon Knight. But, moving forward, as we saw the show, towards the end, the last episode was great. The last 2 episodes, actually, I really enjoyed the whole afterlife scenario with, Mark and Steven kind of back and forth, them communicating and them kind of interacting a little bit more face-to-face was really, really awesome. I love, obviously, the Egyptian lore, and then tying that into all the gods of Egypt was really great, and love to see more of that. Would love to see more avatars of all the different Egyptian gods moving forward as well. Arthur Harrow as a villain, I don't know. It was okay. I mean, I love Ethan Hawke as an actor. He's one of the best actors, I feel like, but they could have done more with him and made him more villainous. I wasn't invested in him as a villain necessarily. I really loved Layla's rendition of the new/newish character, Scarlet Scarab. I hope we see more of her. I thought her design as a character and her armor and the wings were really awesome. As an actress, I thought she crushed that role. She might have been kind of the breakthrough star in Moon Knight, in my opinion. I'm also excited, obviously, to see her show up in the comics, a more true to her character version in the comics moving forward with the Scarlet Scarab. But overall, unfortunately, being a big Moon Knight fan, it wasn't as good as I hoped it was going to be. It wasn't the worst Disney Plus Marvel show, in my opinion. There's still some room to grow there. I know there's some skepticism on whether we'll see another show, whether he'll show up in a movie, or maybe some other like Midnight Suns or team up type situation. But I do love Moon Knight. I hope we see more Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac is amazing. I think they did set it up. Obviously, spoiler alert as well. The inclusion of Jake Lockley at the end kind of puts a spin on where it can go with the character and adds a little bit more interest and intrigue there. So overall, man, I think I rate it. Let's see, WandaVision, the worst Disney Plus. Man, it might be the second worst, which sounds bad, but it was still good. Like, I mean, I definitely rank it below Winter Soldier and Falcon because I feel like that told a better story. Hawkeye was the best. Loki, second best. Yeah, I think it's going to be right above WandaVision in my opinion. So there it is, quick and dirty, manable review of Moon Knight. So tune in to the Comic-Con podcast and hear the review that they got coming up. Thanks. Later.
Well, thank you, Zach, for that quick little review that I can't talk to you about now. So I guess I don't know who wants to go first, because I feel like if Zach was here, he would know where I'm going to go. So, Sade, you're the co-host. Why don't you tell us, what was your thoughts of Moon Knight?
So, I agree with him on the pacing. I overall feel like the show needed like 1 or 2 more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like questions were unanswered. Also, like the first episode with the freaking glass and the shoes, I'm like, I still didn't have that question answered. Like when he's walking on glass.
Okay,
do you know why? Is that supposed to be some like hidden message I don't know about?
Not like a cult thing.
I mean, I knew it was all about being a cult, but I don't know. I was like, I don't know if he was actually possessed by something too. I don't know. Anyway, I did love it. I wouldn't say it's better than WandaVision, though. That's just my opinion, but that's because I love Wanda. But I mean, I do feel like I wish we got more of Jake. Like, that's what I kind of wish we did. Like, I know they gave it, spoiler, obviously, if you already said it first, how we got it at the very end, but like, I wish we got to see more of the crazy.
Uh-huh.
I wish we saw more of that. So I don't know if they're going to drop it as just this one series, or are they going to bring something else with it, because I feel like they have a lot that they could go on based off of that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our predictions from our episode pretty much were there about, like how he was possessed and stuff like that, or to become Khonshu's avatar. Also, so many people were simping for Khonshu, like thinking that he was the hottest god ever in the world all over TikTok. I was loving it.
Really?
Yes, people. You know how like they'll put like Sebastian Stan as like the Winter Soldier, or like other Marvel like characters and make them be like studs and be like daddies and all that stuff, like the slow-mos with like the sexy music. Have you seen this? You know what I'm talking about? Well, they were doing it with Khonshu, this like animated Godbird. I'm like, didn't know I had the hots for a Godbird till now, but
I think it's his voice. I think he's got that determination voice. I think that's what makes Khonshu such a great character. Yeah,
he says in something. Oh, gotta love it. All right, what are your thoughts? I know you have many. I can see it all over your face.
So the people that listen to the podcast after the first couple episodes, I wasn't into this at all. Like going into it, I really wanted to like this show because I knew nothing. I've never read a Moon Knight book at all. I've never owned a Moon Knight book at all. He's probably been in Avengers or some event that I've read throughout the Marvel world, but I've never actually gotten, down and dirty with his backstory and everything because he's gone through many retcons and stuff like that. But for me, I hated this series so much. I hated this. For me, it would be the worst. Like Wanda, I'm on the flip side with Zach. Like Wanda would be my second worst. This would be my worst. Like Wanda, I can't rewatch like the first like 5 episodes, but I can watch like the last 2 or 3. And like you said, it's a little short. And I think that's the issue is that some of these series are like 8 episodes and then some of them are 6. 6 episodes to explain who this person is not enough time.
I feel like
we didn't get enough. Yeah, we didn't get enough Moon Knight. And like Zach said, it shouldn't have been called Moon Knight, especially from what it was. Maybe doing 1 more episode or 2 more episodes and really branching out the Jake Lockley thing instead of it being like, here it is all the way at the very end, because those people that read Moon Knight, they know who the character is. They know that he has several different personas.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably assume that this, every time that he woke up and it wasn't Mark or it wasn't Steven, it had to be Jake. And that's who it was at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Things I liked about the show, I did like the Egyptian gods thing. That's something that's always intrigued me, whether it's movies. So like seeing like a giant Khonshu and Amit like fighting in the desert, like very kaiju.
Oh yeah,
like that was cool.
Somebody was saying, I don't know who was talking about this, saying how like when they were watching like it as if like a whole giant kaiju thing, I was like, how does nobody see these giant gods like, fighting? Like, oh yeah, because they're gods, so no one sees it at all. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I didn't put that together, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that because I'm like, they got to be out there.
They're massive. They're big as the pyramids, but because nobody sees them, they're good to just fight out in the open like that.
Yeah. See, like, and then like I guess for me, like this is a series that I don't know. I wouldn't go back and rewatch. Like I'm just not a fan. Not to say that I'm not a fan of Moon Knight in general or Marvel, but it's not a series that I want to sit down and even attempt to rewatch, because after the first couple episodes, and I said this after the first 3 episodes, is that I had to fast forward a lot when Steven's on screen. Like Oscar Isaac is a great actor. He does the great job of switching between characters, but I don't know, man. There was times where I'm just like dragging, grinning my teeth and like want to rip out my hair because it was just like so hard to get through certain scenes. And I'm like, just please get to like the next part. And the fact that we saw a giant hippo.
Oh my God, I loved her.
We saw her more than Moon Knight in costume.
So funny.
Yeah, she's so funny. That's great. But the fact that, I don't know.
But if it wasn't for her, though, I will say the episode, was it the second to last episode, where like we find out how Steven came to be?
Yeah.
And like how he basically broke, and that's what made Steven. But then also, I kind of want to know what made him break to create Jake. Or did I miss that?
No.
They covered that, and like they definitely did a lot of mind games, because that's basically the whole premise of the character. Is his brain's a little cuckoo with all the personalities in there that protect him and do stuff for him, because I guess Mark himself can't handle it. So I guess technically Mark might be the weaker character compared to Steven. in a sense, emotionally, I guess you would say, because Mark had a break when he couldn't handle his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so Steven had to be like, I'm going to be the fixer-upper. I'm going to fix everything. Everything's fine. Don't you worry. We're A-okay. And then Mark pops back not knowing that everything's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's not a series that I really want to try again.
Yeah.
And as much as there's to me, and I said this to somebody else, I can't remember who I said this to, but I think the biggest winners for the show were all the people that bought and sold all the first appearance of different Moon Knight characters who thought they were going to show up in this series, like a lot of villains, and they didn't show up
I know.
because
Go ahead.
they just didn't. They talked about so many villains that were going to be possibly in the show, and we literally only had one throughout the entire series. You know, we had the guy who unfortunately passed away. He was in episode 3 or 4. His
Oh, yeah.
his persona or his alter ego is a comic book person for Moon Knight, but everybody was talking about all these other characters that you know or could be showing up, and I feel like that's another thing. Like they could have branched out at 1 or 2 more episodes and at least included somebody, but we didn't get anything. There was talks of a crossover between Moon Knight and obviously the Eternals because they've been in this world. I just read today that there was supposed to be a like Black Knight possibly was going to show up, but if you probably didn't watch anything previous to this, you didn't need to know anything, right? Like there's no pre-snap, post-snap. You don't really need to know like what's really going on in the Marvel universe. Like this was definitely a completely standalone show, right? Am I right?
I think
Right?
it
Am I wrong?
sets around the time like after the Spider-Man being forgotten. I think they said that that's the time frame it's set in.
But you need to you don't need to know anything. Like you could go into this. Like he
Yeah.
never mentions any other characters. He
Uh-uh.
never you really don't know, like they never mention Thanos, they never mention any of the other Avengers, I feel like. I don't think.
No one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
I don't know.
again, I think Layla's cool.
Yeah,
Her newer updated version of Scarlet Scarab. I think if they ever do that in the comic books, that book will be a hot book, and I think she is definitely, like Zach said, the breakout star of this series for sure. And I feel like we've gotten that in each of the series on Disney Plus, like the woman who plays the female Loki, really cool. In Falcon Winter Soldier, I can't think of her name, but she was in Fest Nest in the Solo movie. The redhead who plays like the villain. Like everybody is, there's always that newer character or newer actress or newer actor that really stands out in this series, and we know that both Oscar Isaac is a great actor, Ethan Hawke is a great actor, and you have this, newer character, newer actress in this who definitely has long-term, who could have long-term in the MCU and also outside of the MCU as an actress. So, and that was cool about her too. Her costume was badass. Her fighting was cool, but for me, it didn't. I shouldn't have to wait until the last episode to save the series. And I feel like, and my favorite, and still my favorite top of the show is still Kate Bishop. Like Hawkeye is still my number one show. I will rewatch that constantly. I have no complaints. Every episode is fun. Like, and that's what people are like. Well, it's not really. It's tough to watch because it's a Christmas show. That don't mean anything. I can watch Elf. I can watch Christmas Vacation
You
any
sound like
time
my
of the year.
boyfriend who thinks Christmas should be 365. Like his phone screen is still the most wonderful time of the year, freaking Christmas. I'm not kidding.
Oh my god.
He's
I need to meet him. So
everybody should meet Brian because he is the best. I know no one can have him but me. You can be besties.
Oh, that's awesome. I need to have a drink with him, and we'll talk Christmas movies. But
just bring whiskey, and you guys can be best friends, literally.
Awesome. So yeah, it's just I will always go back to Hawkeye. Hawkeye was a show that I was really excited to watch, and it did not disappoint. All these other shows have been for me, leading up to it. it was just, they kind of shot me down. And this one with Moon Knight, I had high hopes for. I was really excited for because I didn't know anything, and it kind of just it completely threw me through a curveball. So for me, if I had to give it like a rating, it's probably like a 5 out of 10. I will never watch the show again. And for anybody listening to the podcast, if you hate me now, feel free to throw in your
So you can just
reviews.
follow me on What Page Is It across all. I will shameless plug myself.
Oh yeah, no, you're in there. Yeah, please follow Sade because she's a lot cooler than me. And
I get called Kate Bishop every day, at least minimum, like twice a day on TikTok. It's absolutely great. They're like, I thought you were Kate Bishop or Haley Steinfeld. I'm like, I just say, shh, it's a secret. Come along for the ride.
I loved you in Bumblebee.
Oh, thanks. I didn't watch myself.
So that is our Moon Knight review here on the Comic-Con podcast. And before we get out of here, let's move on to what we always end our show with what are we currently reading, whether it's new, old, something comic book related in the world of Marvel, DC, or indie. So, Miss Sade, what is something that you're currently reading?
Okay, well, before I tell you, I just need to give like a big shout out to my local comic shop, Action City Comics, for having the celebrity appearance of Oscar Isaac not that long ago, right before the Met Gala. I had to bring that up. I forgot. But what I'm currently reading is from Stephanie Phillips. It just dropped this week. It's called Grimm. If you like the Grim Reaper and you like death and ghosts and stuff, this will be your jam. It's basically like Grimm. This Reaper comes, picks up this guy. I've only read half of it, but like I'm already suckered in. It came out Wednesday, so nobody come at me about how much I read. I know your TBR list. I have it too. Don't come for me. But yeah, so and there's definitely within the middle of the book so far of the issue, I should say, there's already like a plot twist where that person just kind of tries to screw the Grim Reaper over, and it's great. I'm here for it, so I'm excited to see where that one goes for sure.
Yes, I read the full issue. I won't spoil it for you, but for the first half, it's very badass. I unfortunately didn't pre-order too many copies. I didn't get big into a lot of the variants, and I feel like I should have because I can definitely see this as a TV series or movie. So when you get to the second half of the issue and you finish it, you're gonna be wowed. I definitely think it's gonna be wowed. Yeah. So other than that, anything else that you're currently reading?
I'm actually reading a couple of books. So next month for June is Pride Month, so I'm trying to get a lot of LBG. Wow, you know what I mean. More
it's tough.
queer.
I know the acronym's tough on here. LGBTQ.
I stutter a lot. Don't touch me. So I'm trying to get more queer comics. So I actually read. It's also on Netflix. I read Heartstopper. It's super cute. It's about these two boys in high school. One is has already come out as gay, but not by choice. And then another boy, he finds out that he's actually bi, and it's super adorable. I was obsessed with the show, so I had to read the book. And then I'm also finishing up from Slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I'm reading that too, which is also the main characters are gay, so it's interesting to see. So I'm that's from James Tynan. So just trying to do that because then I have my shameless self plug comics and coffee series where I review each comic book and share what's up. So that's what I'm trying to do for the month of June.
Awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
That's
yes, Grimm was definitely. I would say I would recommend picking up Grimm because I've read it completely and you've half read it. So underappreciated, underordered. I feel could be. For myself, I have a few books out there. So for some hot garbage, sometimes every now and then we pick up a book and we think it's just complete hot garbage. My hot garbage of the week is the Jurassic League.
Oh, yes, I got that too. I forgot.
Oh, okay. So the Jurassic League is so it would have been a good book. Here's where it would have been a good book. It should be a good book because They could have done it where the Justice League. So the premise is the Justice League is the Justice League, but it's back in prehistoric times. So they're all dinosaurs, which I love dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs since I was 5. Like I could write out and say the names of all the dinosaurs when I was like 6 years old.
So you're
Before-
hyped for the new Jurassic Park movie then, right?
Yeah, I'm a huge Jurassic Park, the first one, 1993. Like still
Obsessed.
when Ethan Grant first sees like the dinosaurs,
Ooh.
that's like me. Like I just like I'm in awe. So yeah,
Fight of velociraptors, I won't lie. They scare the shit out of me as a child. And then to get over my fear of them, I had to be imagination, like up the wazoo, pretend they were my best friends and my pets that would attack things. That's how I got over things that didn't
Oh my
exist
God.
anymore.
So you've been going now. This is sidetracking, but
Yes, I'm
you
sorry.
go to New York Comic Con. Have you ever been there when the person dressed up as the Velociraptor? Have you ever seen that?
No.
I'll have to send you
I missed
pictures if I can
this.
find it. Yes, it's a big guy. He's a person, and he's in like this. The way he's in the suit is it's so long, and he moves, and it's very
Very
mechanical. But yes, it's amazing, and it scared the crap out of people. But I will try to find pictures from my previous Facebook or Instagram of the Velociraptor at New York Comic Con. So anyway, back to the Jurassic League. So they're all different dinosaurs. It's very corny. It's very cheesy. Like
So worth
Batman. Batman is a dinosaur, and his parents die, and like he's following some kids following him. But my problem with this series is they should have really marketed it more for kids. Like this is a great series for to everyone to get into, not like for teenagers to adults to pick up this. And I feel like that's the issue with this book is it's not really geared towards that market. So for me, it's my hot garbage of the week. I really don't want to get too much into it because it was just really bad. Honorable mention this week is Transformers Last Bot Standing from IDW. Huge Transformers fan. So if you've of course read The Last Ronin, I knew when this series got announced that it was definitely going to be very, very a la The Last Ronin for TMNT. So basically, from what we gather, or what you can gather from their first issue, is that there's one final Transformer. He kind of is hidden. And then all of a sudden, another Transformer comes to where on this planet that he's at. And they basically talk, and I'll just say the one Transformer just basically destroys the other Transformer and tells him to get away because he doesn't want, he wants to be by himself. I'll tell you, it doesn't happen on Earth, and I'm not going to tell you who that Transformer is. If I would have guessed, I would have been right on who the Transformer was, because I figured that's who it was, but I didn't think they were going to go that route. But honorable mention, Transformers Last Bot Standing, a 5-issue miniseries from IDW. And it's probably going to be one of the last stuff that IDW does because, of course, it's going over to Dark Horse next year. I'm really excited for it. But my pick of the week this week, with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness just coming out, and I talked to Zach this week. When we were talking, I said, "Oh, are you going to be on the podcast this week?" And he said no. And I was like, "Oh, I have a great book for the pick of the week." And he goes, "Oh, well, you could tell me then." And this is the only time I ever tell Zach before what we're currently reading. But I went back, and I have not read this series probably in a good 10 years, but was House of M. Have you ever read House of M?
No. So I'm not okay. I want to read X-Men, but I have yet to read X-Men. So if you could guide me if this is the way to go.
Even if you don't know anything about the Avengers, if you don't know anything about X-Men, you can definitely just pick up all 8 issues of House of M. So without spoiling too much, basically Wanda is kind of at her breaking point. Professor X kind of comes in, tries to help her. She basically creates an entirely different world where everybody's wants are fulfilled. So in Spider-Man's, they're all in the same world. They all function on the same level. So Spider-Man is married to Gwen Stacy, has a kid. Cyclops is married to Emma Frost because at this point Jean Grey is dead. Who's another character who I could kind of tell you? Wolverine's kind of the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. because in his mind he wanted to be like Nick Fury. So that's not really spoilers, but the only person in the series who knows what's happening is Wolverine. Like he's the only person that knows that something is wrong. So throughout all the
why do I have this job?
yeah,
I shouldn't have this job. Why do I have this?
yeah. Why is he the mind reader of everybody? So it's 8 issues. It came out way back in the early 2000s, and it's a perfect kind of setup for if you've seen WandaVision and also a little bit of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So highly recommend. I haven't read, like I said, I hadn't read this in 10 years, and I was just like, you know what? The movie came out. I was like, let me check this out again, because I went deep diving into my long boxes, and I was like, let me read some House of M. So for anybody out there who has never read this series, again, you don't need to know too much of the X-Men team, like who's on the team at the time, who's on the Avengers team. You know, everybody's kind of, you kind of know the characters, and people are always in and out of these teams. But House of M, amazing series. And Zach even said, you know, even the side stories that they do, you know, Marvel always has like their main event, and then they have all the books that tie in. So they'll have like House of M X-Men, House of M Avengers, and Spider-Man, and they're always like, whether it's like 1 to 3 issues. He said even those are very good. And I unfortunately at that time never picked up all those little side stories. So I mean, you know, I may try to find them, whether it's digitally or even if I can find them in like back issue bins for pretty cheap, just to kind of read, to get a little bit more expulsion on like what was happening in their world. So definitely check out House of M. I highly recommend it.
So you were just saying, can I get that as a trade or no?
You know what? They should have it as a trade, whether it's trade or hardcover. But from what Zach was saying, is it may be tough to get because it may be out of print. But I wouldn't. I'm pretty sure you should be able to get it. And if not, you know, Comixology definitely has it.
I was about to say I could do digital if that's gonna be paying to find.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go on Amazon and see what it is, or if you go to eBay and you see the prices, you're gonna be like, yeah, maybe I should probably just read this digitally because
it's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, sometimes trade paperbacks are out of print, and hardcovers and omnibuses are out of print, and you can't. It's too expensive. So, hell, I'd rather just pay like $10 or $15 to read it digitally. So,
valid.
That's what it is. That's my pick of the week.
I like.
Yeah, I highly recommend it for anybody who has not checked it out. So, here on the Comic-Con podcast, again, we had the great co-host today who did a wonderful job and has passed her formal interview. Zach, you're not allowed to come back here on the podcast anymore. You have been replaced.
Just kidding. Come back.
That's all of us. That's a great episode here on season 2, episode 19. Sade, where can people find you on all your social medias?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and maybe YouTube if I ever upload it ever again. But it's all going to be What Page Is It? Make sure you spell page with an I, and you can find me.
Yes, I really am intrigued on your newest. I guess you brought back the comics and coffee, right? It's something that you used to do.
Yeah, I did it for a hot second, and it wasn't performing the way I wanted, so I stopped. And then I found an old draft in my TikToks where I was like totally just messing up the entire time. And I posted it, and I was like, this is an old draft that was never edited. I was like, do you guys want this back? And everyone was like, yes. And I obnoxiously slurp my coffee. So that's my intro and my outro. So get ready for that ASMR, let me tell you. Because it ain't pretty, but you love me.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, if you want the comics and coffee, it's a great little segment over on What Page Is It on TikTok and Instagram. All the
and drink coffee.
Yeah. Hey, that's what I like to do. And if it's not coffee and comics and beers, it's beers and comics. So maybe that's what I got to start.
I want to do a comics and cocktails. And my boyfriend also loves to play bartender. Because he even says, like, babe, why don't I mix you a cocktail? I'm like, well, get to it, babe. Like, I'm waiting.
Ooh,
so we'll see.
I think you're onto something.
Oh, this is already my brand. Nobody can steal it, or I will come for you. It's on this podcast. We all know. We all heard it. We all come for them. I dare you to come for my brand.
All right. I think after this is over, we're going to have to talk about some bonus content on a weekly to bi-weekly basis here on the Comic-Con podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something fun. For myself, if you're listening to this early enough, this Saturday, Newington, Connecticut, 3 Minute Basement Comic Swap. 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. A lot of people in the comic book community will be there selling, trading, buying. I will be up there this Saturday. So go check those guys out if you're listening to this early enough. And if not, we'll be back here next week for episode 20. And maybe we'll see Zach. Maybe you'll see somebody else. Who knows? But that's it. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day, weekend, or night. Peace out.